Good morning, LCM. Today is day 55. Sure. Today is day 55 of a day. Oh, hello. At LCM. So, it's November 9th, 2011. We're learning how to be drug-free by watching motocross bikes or something, jump ramps. So, they go together if you don't think about it. So, that's what you'll be seeing next.
I'm gonna watch a kid fall down. Yay!
These guys are liable to throw down for you out here today. Moves like that. That's one of those balance moves I was telling you about his intro. Taking the hands off the bike. That's a brakeless maneuver when he gets the bike vertical like that. That is all balance. That is all bike control right there. And well, that's just one example of how difficult this flatland stuff really is. Now, part of my job out here, I get to give you some stats on the riders and point out some of the things that they're doing. But the other part of my duties out here today, I get to talk to you guys about something pretty important, and that is about the dangers of tobacco. After all, that's the whole point of this tour. It's about having a good time, but it's also about educating you guys about something pretty important as well. Now, as I mentioned at the top of the show, we're part of an action sports entertainment company. We travel all across the globe every year. We do a wide variety of events, but these high school tours, it's something our company's been doing for 12 years in a row now. We do this twice a year. We do a spring tour every season that goes anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks long, and then we do a fall tour that goes anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks long. You guys are stop number 10 on an 11-week run going all across the U.S. this fall. We started this thing off after Labor Day weekend out in Salt Lake City, Utah. We did a week in Denver, Colorado, Kansas City, Missouri, Minneapolis, Chicago, Indianapolis, St. Louis, Tulsa, Oklahoma. We did a week in Houston last week. Here all around Beaumont, Orange, Bridge City and whatnot, and next week we wrap it up in Dallas, Fort Worth. Now, as I mentioned before, the Marines, they're the title sponsor of the program. They provide all the funding that allow us to get out here on the road and do these events. We get to come out here and talk to you guys in the first place, and this group's been with us all 12 years we've been doing this tour. They're an anti-tobacco group out of Washington, D.C., and they're known as the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids. Now, they happen to be one of many anti-tobacco groups here in the United States, but the people over at the campaign, their whole goal, their drive in life, they're trying to reduce the number of youth smokers that we have here. Now, as you guys all well know, it's against the law for the tobacco companies to market or sell their products to people under the age of 18 in this country. Yet, every single year, they try to figure out sneaky little subversive ways to get around those laws. They try to guerrilla market. They try to make that stuff look cool. Why do they do that? Because those tobacco company execs, they look at you guys, the youth of today, as tomorrow's potential customer. They don't care about your health. They don't care about your well-being. They care about one thing, and that's turning you guys into a lifelong customer. They're making money. That's their ultimate goal, and that's one of the reasons why we have organizations like the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids. They're trying to right that wrong. They're trying to fight fire with fire. Use events like this to show you good time, give you the facts, and hopefully you guys will make the right decision when it comes to tobacco use. Now, some of the things I tell you in the show out here this morning, they're common sense issues when it comes to this subject. Some of the things I talk about in the show out here today, there may be issues you've talked about in health class if you've gotten on the subject of tobacco. And then again, some of these things, some of these guys out here today, but I encourage you, you don't have to take my word for it. You can log on to the campaign's website, do a little research on your own, back these facts up for yourselves, as well as find out plenty of other things about tobacco that I don't even have the time to go into out here today. The campaign's web address, it's tobaccofreekids.org. That website is a wealth of information when it comes to the world of tobacco. You guys can spend a couple hours a night every single day for the next few weeks on that website. You're not even going to scratch the surface as to what it has to offer in the way of tobacco-related information. About 85% of the things that I tell you guys out here today, I learned off of that website, and well, you can too. And if you forget the web address, don't worry about it. I'll repeat because of their long-term destructive habit. Now, that's just the global death toll. You want to find out how bad the problem is right here at home? This next stat I'm going to give you, this is the United States death toll on average every single year because of tobacco use. Now, smoke-related death. That's a whole separate issue I'll talk about here in just a couple of minutes. Within our own borders, every single year, you've got over 400,000 people that are dying off just because of their tobacco intake. And right now, just like that global stat I gave you, you might be thinking to yourself, hey, there's an awful lot of people in the United States, 400,000 every single year. Now, if that's not a bit of an eye-opener for you, here's another piece of information. that will shed further light on the subject. Think of all the people that die in this country in 1 year, statistic by the way, and AIDS. Think of all the people that die in the United States in 1 calendar year from all those things I just mentioned to you. Add them all up, guess what? You still do not come out to 400,000. Tobacco single-handedly takes out more people in this country every single year than all of those things that I just mentioned to you combined. And it's a very sad, but unfortunately a very true fact, and one of the many things you can read up about over there at tobaccofreekids.org. Now, speaking of that website, if you guys were to log on there tonight, try to DM file, it's called Tobacco's Toll in the USA. Now, you download that, you open it up, it's a chart, it breaks down the 50 states in the U.S. into a bunch of different categories. Now, one thing that's particularly interesting on that chart is that every year they will rank the states as to how they stack up in the number of adult deaths because of tobacco use. Now, by last year's stats, California had the biggest problem in 2010. They had about 40,000 people die in their state last year. California, no strangers to being #1 on that list, by the way. They've been there for well over a decade. And you're probably thinking to yourself right now, well, that makes sense. California, one of the biggest and definitely the most popular of a nicotine addiction. That's a pretty ridiculous concept in itself, considering it's a product that can legally be sold here within the United States. Now, doctors are well aware of nicotine and its addicting nature. Guess who else knows this? The tobacco company exec. They got plenty of their own doctors on the payroll. They throw plenty of money around each and every year into nicotine research. They're well aware of what it could do, and that's why the nicotine levels in their products are at an all-time high. Goes back to what I said at the top of the show. They want you to get hooked fast. Take that first puff. All it takes is between 3 and 7 seconds. That is it, from 3 seconds to 7 seconds for that nicotine to hit your bloodstream and give off the desired effect. And they say that by the time you've tried tobacco twice, you've smoked twice, you've chewed twice, which is well within the experimental phase, that nicotine addiction has already begun to work itself well into your bloodstream. Bottom line, it is very fast acting. It's very hard to quit once you do not move. Mr. Walker obviously feeling the ramp out here today, taking some extra runs. I told you he's all about those flares. That's a backflip with a 180-degree corkscrew twist, and he's actually got variations of that one. Sometimes he'll do what we call an invert flare. He's got no-handed flares. He's got lots of 540 variations as well. That was an invert 540. You're basically going 1.5 times around, and you kind of only a 20-foot wide ramp. You don't have a lot of room to work with when you're in there by yourself, and then you add another guy into the mix, and how about that? Ato with a 540 up and over Mr. Furlong right there. Now, if you like that crossover, check this one out. This one's one of my favorites. Anthony does a 360 varial. Come on, was that not impressive or what? That's a 360 varial up and over Ato, who I think was turning in the wrong direction. I think that was Ato's opposite direction right there. That.
Hey guys, you saw the motorcycle stuff from earlier. How'd you enjoy it, Emily?
It was alright.
There you go, it's alright. That was the only cool thing that happened at school today. So that's the only thing I filmed at school today, besides this ending right here. Senior shirts just came in. They look pretty tight. I think Courtney Stout designed this. So, yeah, here's the back of it. And yeah, this is what happened today at LCM Day 55. And I will see you